Welcome. Here we are again, and this time we will discuss step number 7 in the curriculum development process, which is averaging the objective mastery time. And a question to ask yourself as you begin to estimate this is, how long does it actually take to teach an objective? This means providing the instruction, allowing practice time and time to develop the expected skills, and then administering an assessment to determine if the objective was actually met. Is more than simply exposing students or athletes to some information. So in this step, you'll estimate how long you think it would take for students or athletes to master the objectives that you've developed. You'll review all of the objectives that you originally created in step number 4. And if you remember, in this step, you listed your goals, created 3 different content areas for each goal, and within these content areas, you developed 3 objectives for each domain: the psychomotor, the cognitive, and the affective. You'll take a look at all of these goals and determine how much time you think it would take you to teach and students to learn these objectives. You'll individually estimate the mastery time for each objective, and then you'll compare your personal estimates with that of all the other group members. And so each group member may identify a different amount of time based on their personal experiences and expectations. So when all group members have completed this, you will average the estimated mastery times of the group. And it can become lengthy when you begin to list all of your objectives and try to estimate the mastery time. So what you'll do is you'll group the objectives or develop objective categories to better organize them. And once this is done for all of the objectives you've created, you'll be able to provide an estimated amount of time that it would take for students to master all the objectives in your entire curriculum. Now, there are some charts in your textbook that you can use to help you develop the step. See figure 6.8 on page 124 to get an idea of how this should look. There are also some blank charts in Appendix B of your textbook as well. And so in the final step, your submission, you will have 2 different charts to indicate the estimated mastery time. So as I mentioned before, the first thing you want to do is determine how you'll categorize the objectives you have. If it's easy for you to categorize them by sport skill, that's fine. You already have your goals grouped, and since you developed objectives for each goal, it may be easy for you to use the same grouping. You already have delineated your objectives in the previous step and identified them by domain, so feel free also to use the domains as categories to group your objectives as well. I don't mind what grouping method you use as long as all the objectives are accounted for. The grouping is basically for your organization. Now on your chart, and this differs from the one provided in the textbook, you'll include the number of objectives that you have in the groups that you developed. If you develop 10 goals and you have 3 objectives per goal in each domain, you should have 30 objectives for each psychomotor, cognitive, and affective domain. Then you'll need to include the estimated time for these for each group member that you have. And once this is done, you'll calculate the average time in minutes within each category. So as you can see, the chart from the textbook provides a simple view of what this may look like. And you'll develop a chart just like this to submit for this step. Then you'll create a second chart to submit, which includes the weighted average. And once you have this information, you'll follow the calculations provided in step D, as you can see. And this is from figure 6.8 on page 124 in your text. And that's pretty much it for step number 7 of your curriculum development project. So after reading this section in the textbook, you should have a good idea of exactly what to do. If you still have any questions, feel free to let me know, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, for the next step, step 8, which is not the final step in the overall process of the curriculum development, but it is the last step for us. You'll calculate how much content can actually be included in the curriculum. And after this step, you'll see that realistically, most teaching in a school program tries to address too many objectives. Realistically, with the various distractions and events that cut into a physical educational program, we stress to cover too much information and do so with little quality. And this, in my opinion, has contributed to the perception that physical education is not important. I mean, many teachers are forced to expose students to a variety of activities rather than actually teach. Additionally, emphasis is placed on winning in the K through 12 sports programs, and therefore our coaches, who are also physical education teachers, spend more time focusing on their coaching duties within the physical education instructional time than actual teaching responsibilities. And the result of this has increased the ambiguity between exposure to activities, coaching, and teaching. And so many fail to recognize the difference between all of these. Teachers have difficulty recognizing what good teaching is. Coaches have a difficult time recognizing what good coaching is. So the curriculum development process helps to address all of these issues and provide a realistic approach to quality teaching and or coaching. And with all that being said, look into completing step number 8. In this step, you'll calculate how much content can be included in your overall curriculum. You'll need to use the information developed in the previous steps, step number 4 through step number 7. Now, I want to explain this process as I've done in other steps. I do want you to read through the information in the textbook because it does a good job of explaining step number 8, and I want you to work through all the calculations with your group. Use the blank chart found in Appendix B on page 329 to help you complete this section. Again, use the information from the previous steps, follow the calculations and directions provided in chapter number 6 for completing this step, and when you're done, you should have a completed chart similar to that on page 126, figure 6.9, which identifies how much content can be included in your curriculum. And that will do it for this presentation. As usual, let me know if there are ever any questions. Take care, and I will see you online.